Welcome to Tullahoma 6 News. I'm Kelly Lapczynski. In this Wednesday edition, we've got a recap of the latest city board meeting from the outgoing mayor and an early Tennessee pit stop from an incoming holiday visitor. First on 6, rules that allow Facebook users to create a satirical page caused a bit of a headache for the city government this week after a satire site calling itself Tullahoma TN Government posted the fictional story of an uninvited helicopter landing on private land. The Tuesday Morning Post claimed several men with backpacks had exited the vehicle and headed into the woods. By Tuesday night, the page claimed it was an overnight military training exercise. Now, satirical accounts are fully legal, and at least in the case of this page, it is also clearly marked as a satire page. At least it is if you visit the page. Now, when individual posts are shared outside of the context of their origin page, they're not labeled as satire. This leads to what the city calls dangerous territory when readers believe these posts, and calls to report fake incidents create very real obstacles between the emergency responders and the people who actually need their help. This is the second time in recent weeks that the city government has had to respond to false information coming from this particular page. In July, the satire page released information about after-dark skinny dipping at Splash Island. Now, even though the post was clearly not written in any official manner, many readers were taken in. For the record, you can find the city's actual Facebook page under City of Tullahoma TN Government. Now, if you traveled down the Wall Street alley on Tuesday, you saw that city leaders took swift action to block traffic in the downtown area once again. On Monday night, the board voted to reinstall the bollards that were first installed several years ago for the creation of a beer garden across the alley from London's sports bar. The board voted again a few years later to remove the bollards, as the beer garden had never been completed. But on Monday, the final action of the outgoing board was to vote those bollards back into their place and to make a portion of the Wall Street alley impassable. The next time we see the board, it will look a little different. 4 newly elected officials will join the 3 midterm aldermen when the board meets again on the 26th. And so today we have our final city meeting recap from outgoing Mayor Ray Noes.
First thing on the agenda was to recognize the outgoing board members with plaques commemorating their service on the board. I presented the plaques to Alderman Amacher and to Alderman Berry and to Alderman Mann. Then I vacated the seat of as chair of the board, and our vice mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Jerry Mathis, took over, and he presented me with a plaque for my 9 years of service on the board. 5 years as an alderman and 4 years as mayor. So I acknowledged how grateful I was for the opportunity to serve during those years. Then we went into our board meeting, and all of the aldermen, that particularly the outgoing aldermen, had very nice going away speeches to make, if you will. But I have to commend Alderman Mann, Derek Mann. He hit all the points about what this board has accomplished and all the things that we should in our city be proud of. And I just want to particularly, not that anyone did a poor job in their report, but Alderman Mann did a spectacular job in his. All I could do was say ditto to that, and thank the citizens for my opportunity to serve. But getting into the agenda for the evening, one of the main things on the agenda was to pass resolution allocating funds to the nonprofits, and we did that for 18 nonprofits that we serve in our city. But one of the things we did on the agenda, well, we did not approve the agenda as it was written. One of the aldermen asked to have an item on the consent agenda removed, and we removed the item. We had a reappointment of Mike Stanton to the Tullahoma Utilities Authority Board for another 5-year term. He was eligible and willing to do that, but the board members wanted to put that on new business, and we did. And under new business, under that new business, when we got to that, we The board wanted to open that seat up and have applicants apply that would be interested in serving. I noted that serving on the TUA board is not exactly like other boards. There's lots of training that you have to have, 12 hours the first year, 4 years each year thereafter. But in addition to that, you're expected to serve on various committees, and which take a fair amount of time. And also there's some out-of-town travel that you have to do. So anyway, I pointed those things out, then asked that each applicant be aware of those. We had a request from Alderman Berry to remove the bollards on the Wall Street there at Lincoln Street. And with that, I remembered that not this board, but a previous board had voted to remove those bollards to allow traffic to exit onto East Lincoln. But this board, Alderman Berry wanted to put it on the agenda to vote to put those bollards back and leave them in a permanent position.
On Monday's newscast, we heard that a certain jolly old elf had made his way to Tullahoma to encourage school children to dream up a holiday theme for the Christmas parade. Now, before he made the rounds of Tullahoma elementary schools, Santa stopped by Stan McNabb Automotive to pick up his summer sleigh. I was there on Monday afternoon when the sleigh stopped at Robert E. Lee.
Santa's sleigh down here in Tennessee is a red Corvette. Since we didn't have any snow, we've got to ride around in a red Corvette.
Ho, ho, ho! We're in Tullahoma, and we're having a great time today here in August, Christmas in August.
So Santa made a very special trip to Tullahoma to help us distribute the contest theme papers to all of the elementary schools.
Hey, now listen, we're going to drop off some forms, and we need y'all to help us name the Christmas parade. We need a theme, okay? So can y'all help us with that? Yeah! Y'all give us your best ideas. Okay?
We're having a great time today visiting all the elementary schools. A big thanks to the Tullahoma Police Department, the Tullahoma Fire Department, safely escorting Santa and all of us around town.
Ho, ho, ho!
The winning school that submits the winning theme will get a free entry into the Tullahoma Christmas Parade that will take place on Friday, December 6th, sponsored by Stan McNabb Automotive.
Coming up next on Tullahoma 6 News, we'll show you our adoptable dog of the week. And this week, we'll hear how one classic tale has been completely reimagined just by shifting its point of view. After this. Join Blood Assurance at the Lakewood Golf and Country Club on Friday, September 13th for the 10th Annual Heroes Golf Tournament. All golfers will receive a golf shirt, a sleeve of golf balls, golf tees, cart rental, and an invitation to the annual luncheon. The cost to play is $150 per person or $500 per team, and proceeds benefit the Heroes Grant. For more information, contact Steve Cope at 931-212-4093.
My name is JT Northcutt. I have sickle cell anemia trait, and several members of my family have sickle cell anemia disease. People with sickle cell disease have sickle cell shaped blood cells which cause less oxygen to flow through their body. This can make people tired and experience painful symptoms. Blood transfusions are critical. They may struggle to find matches that are genetically similar to them. So that is why it is so important to have a diverse blood supply. And we're asking for your help today.
Watch Tullahoma Wildcat Football live on LightTube. The voices of Wildcat Football, Scott Chastain and Ken Keller, can only be found on the LightTube Sports Network. With a new game every week, you can catch every moment live. If you cannot make it out to the stadium, tune in to LightTube Channel 23 and cheer on the Tullahoma Wildcats football team led by head coach Coy Sisk. Go Cats!
Welcome back to Tullahoma 6 News. In March of this year, author Percival Everett took a well-known classic and turned its perspective on its head. Here, the adventures of Huckleberry Finn are told from the perspective of Huck's traveling companion, the escaped slave Jim, or as Percival Everett will have it, James. If the premise sounds familiar, it could be because another one of our reviewers chose this book back in May. As a former English instructor, Kathy Rose thought today's book could be taught as a companion to Huck Finn. Today we'll hear what thoughts that Rosie Graham took away from Everett's literary retelling in this week's Book Talk.
James really left, well, he left because he was a slave, and he left because he wanted to, they were going to sell him off to go somewhere without his wife and child. He said, not doing that, going to take my wife and child with me. So he escapes to try to get free so he can come back and get them. That's his major reason, is for leaving and hiding out and running. And Huckleberry Finn's reason for running is he's got an abusive father who has come back in his life. So Huck pretends he's dead and he pretends he's been killed, and he goes out and he finds Jim on this island that they both escaped to. That's how it all starts, and that's really how Mark Twain's story starts, is how they find each other's runaways and they get on the raft and run down. But and some of the stories from Huckleberry Finn, some of the characters from Huckleberry Finn are also there. We run into the Duke and the Dauphin again. We run into the minstrel singers again. We run into those things, but there is more to it. There's a more depth to this, and the understanding of how slaves were treated back then really comes to the fore. And how, I thought it was very interesting, Jim had taught himself to read. He'd gone into the library of Judge Thatcher and borrowed books and taught himself to read, and he read such things as Locke and Voltaire, and he was really a smart man. But he would talk to his slave owners in one dialect, but he could talk like you and I do. You know, he knew how to speak words and say things in great sentences, and that amazed Huck. I mean, Huck's going, what are you talking about, Jim? And Jim said, oh, fell out of my dialect, fell out of his slave dialect, which I thought was interesting. They talked one way to their masses, and they talked another way to themselves. And he was just well-read, a very interesting person, but he also had issues with this being a slave. We see him beaten. We see how horribly slaves were treated over nothing. So I recommend this book. I recommend it. It's not a hard read. It's an easy read. I listen to it on Audible. I listen to most of my stories on Audible, so you hear it in the dialect, and you hear him change from his slave dialect to his human dialect. But I recommend this book for all of us to an understanding of why we're where we are now, and that we don't ever need to go back to that concept.
At the Tullahoma Animal Shelter this week, meet BB. Now, BB is one of 4 girls who were seized in an animal cruelty case. They won their day in court, and now they are looking for new homes with nicer people and regular feedings. BB's mother was a purebred Doberman Pinscher, and her father was a type of cattle dog. She's still young enough to be well trained, and she'll be a nice addition to your family. You can meet BB at the Tullahoma Animal Shelter on Maplewood Avenue. Now, the Coffee County Airfoilers Remote Control Flying Club will welcome large-scale planes and warbirds to the flying field on Wattendorf Highway this weekend. The 2-day giant-scale fun fly is free for spectators, and there's camping available on site. But if you want to participate, the cost is $25 for flyers. Contact the Coffee Airfoilers for more information. Faith Lutheran Church will host a 2-day rummage sale at the church on Bragg Circle this weekend. The doors will open at 7 a.m. on Friday and on Saturday, but they will close at 3 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. Organizers promise a lot of clothing, household items, jewelry, and tools, as well as a few appliances. Proceeds benefit the church's mission program. The Downtown Lions Club is preparing to host its 35th annual Richardson Britton Golf Tournament this weekend. The event is open to everyone, with registration starting at 7:30 on August 16th at the Lakewood Golf and Country Club. The 4-person scramble will begin with a shotgun start at 9 a.m. The cost to participate is $135 per golfer, or $540 per team. The field will be limited to the first 32 teams registered, so contact Joey Teal or Russ Barrett to register. The tournament hopes the Downtown Lions Club provide free vision and hearing tests for students in the Tullahoma school system. You can find the full details on the Tullahoma Downtown Lions Club Facebook page. The Hands-On Science Center will celebrate 29 years of science education over 2 days this weekend. The birthday bash kicks off at 9 a.m. on Saturday and continues on Sunday at noon. Admission prices range from $4 to $6 depending on whether you pick one day or both. There are always free science shows during this event, and other attractions include face painting, a bounce house, games, and crafts. Find out more on the Hands-On Science Center Facebook page. Then spend an evening in the Round with Grammy-winning country artist Linda Davis on Saturday at the South Jackson Performing Arts Center. Davis will perform beginning at 7 p.m. and tickets are $30 each. Log on to southjackson.org for more information. The Tullahoma Area Chamber of Commerce will celebrate 40 young professionals under the age of 40, including both of its executive directors, on Thursday, the 22nd. All the honorees have been named and their tickets to the mixer have been paid, but if you'd like to be at the Lakewood Golf and Country Club to mix and mingle with them, well, tickets are $30 and you can get them on the chamber website, tullahoma.org. And the Hustle and Heart Markets return to the Tims Ford Event Center on Blue Creek Road next weekend. Starting at 2 o'clock next Saturday, a variety of vendors will be on hand with a variety of their handmade goods and local services to offer. And coming up next on Tullahoma 6 News, we'll have your midweek weather forecast. After the break, we'll have a look at local sports, so stay with us.
Watch Tullahoma Wildcat football live on LightTube. The voices of Wildcat football, Scott Chastain and Ken Keller, can only be found on the LightTube Sports Network. With a new game every week, you can catch every moment live. If you cannot make it out to the stadium, tune in to LightTube Channel 23 and cheer on the Tullahoma Wildcats football team led by head coach Coy Sisk. Go Cats!
My name is JT Northcutt. I have sickle cell anemia trait, and several members of my family have sickle cell anemia disease. People with sickle cell disease have sickle cell-shaped blood cells which cause less oxygen to flow through their body. This can make people tired and experience painful symptoms. Blood transfusions are critical. They may struggle to find matches that are genetically similar to them, so that is why it is so important to have a diverse blood supply. And we're asking for your help today.
Welcome back. Today is August 14th, and it is a day to celebrate vanilla ice cream frozen to a popsicle stick and coated with a layer of zingy citrus sherbet, because today is National Creamsicle Day. Now, the original sherbet flavor was orange, but today you can find raspberry and blueberry flavors in a creamsicle multi-pack. Creamsicles are the dairy equivalent to the company's original popsicle, which were invented by an 11-year-old boy who left his soda powdered drink outside on a cold winter night with the stir stick still in it. Now, as an adult, Frank Epperson patented the treat as an Epsicle, but when he had kids of his own, it was his little boy who renamed the treat when he asked his pop for a sickle. The word popsicle has gone the way of many other brands by having so much market dominance that its name is widely used to describe products that aren't made by the company. Other examples include Band-Aid, Xerox, Velcro, and Post-it. But there's no better ice pop out there when the temperatures are reaching for the low 90s. So you know what to do while we take a look at today's forecast. We had some dark skies starting out this morning, and they cleared up, got a little bit bluer as the day went on, but it was a lot of cloud cover, quite a bit of cloud cover today. A high of 86. We're sort of keeping that heat in there, but not getting too hot. Less exposure to the sun, and we're right on average. 87 is what we would expect for this day on the calendar, and we're right at it. Now, we did get higher back in 1943 with 99, and it doesn't seem that long ago that August has felt more sweltering than it feels right now. So take it and enjoy it while you can. Tonight, a low of 66, which again, just 1 degree above the average. So what's the rest of the week going to look like? Are we going to see August come back at us? Not too bad. It's not going to hit too hard. Thursday is the highest temperature we're going to see in the next 5 days when we hit 90 degrees. Cloud cover will remain, however, down to 72 overnight on Thursday night, and the clouds should break loose on Friday. The temperature is going to come down to 89 when we see a 50-50 chance of rain across Tullahoma on Friday night. Now, there's a scrimmage planned. I know we'll talk about that later in sports. 70 degrees on the overnight on Friday. Saturday, 88 degrees. More of those clouds, a slight chance of them breaking through. I'm going to guess that's probably a little bit of carryover from the overnight on Friday. 66 is our low on Saturday, but the rain isn't completely gone yet. We do see some sunny skies on Sunday with a high of 87, but there's still a chance of some scattered showers and a low of 64. By the time we get back around to Monday and get back to work, all of the rain should be behind us, and we'll have nice sun outside the window unless you happen to work outdoors. 85 is the high on Monday, down to a low of 62 degrees. Not too bad, but a little wet over the weekend. Now, in sports, the girls' soccer game against Laverne was canceled earlier this week. The Lady Cats are looking for their official season opener tomorrow night when Tullahoma hosts Shelbyville Central. Once the girls get the first game under their belt, they'll take to the road for the next 4. That's 4 in a row before they return in early September to start tackling district opponents. Now, it's all fun and games until Labor Day. And the Tullahoma Wildcat football team has another scrimmage on deck this Friday, and it's the last Friday night that's off the record before the team kicks off its football season at Stewart's Creek next Friday. So today, Coach Coy Sisk tells us how his team is shaping up through its preseason practices and scrimmages.
Well, look, after these first 2 contests and scrimmages, exactly what it is, a scrimmage. We made a lot of mistakes. Hey, understand what we're doing good. All right, but we're understanding also what we need to work on. And hey, the guys have had a great attitude about it. Hey, and practices are getting a little more intense because, hey, right now we're 10 days away from the first contest, from the first real contest. So every week becomes a little more important, and every practice and every rep we get becomes more important because you can't go back and get those days. So we've got to take advantage of them now. We've got to make sure we use our time wisely. We've got, 2 guys in the rotation right now. Lucas Reed will probably be our starting quarterback. Hey, but not to say Pat's out of the loop right there. Pat does an amazing job, and like I've said before in other interviews, these 2 guys are both great quarterbacks, and they both do things really well. They do different things well. So right now it's hard to pick between those 2, but we've still got 2 weeks before we really have to do that. When you've got 2 guys that you've had 2 Division I kickers back to back is pretty tough. We'd like to get another Chadwick, but there's not any left right now. So Dotson's doing a great job with that, and you're going to see some different guys punting the football also. You're going to see Sam Bobo do it. You're going to see Bunch do it. You're going to see Gunner Green. So depending on what style we want to do versus straight on, rugby, things like that, that's going to be the difference in your punt game. Dotson has got a good leg. He's worked on it during the off season, gotten stronger. He's not quite as precise yet, but I mean, again, we've become spoiled with that. He has enough leg to get it into the end zone when he gets it right, and we've got enough skill to cover if he doesn't get it right. What we're working on right now is placing that ball. You know, putting it where we want it, not just kicking. We're kicking with a purpose. We're trying to put it in a certain spot so we know exactly where we're covering and where we're going to try to pin somebody. Hey, Tullahoma, first of all, is a very, very unique place, and we love it. I'm glad my family's here. I've said that numerous times. But, hey, this school's special because, hey, we're telling kids to go play other things versus in some places they're getting, hey, you need to specialize. You need to do just that. And, hey, we're making our kids better. We want them to go to other sports, play other sports, hey, come back to football more competitive and a better athlete and a better all-around player. So not everybody on the roster plays another sport, but I'm going to say close to 60, 70% of the roster is going to play another sport. This Friday we go to Summit. All right, so this Friday will be to Summit, and that'll be our final preseason scrimmage. And then the next week we'll open up at Stewart's Creek. So we'll open up with that away game. We won't be back home until with the coffee pot. So our first home game will be the coffee pot, and we'll look forward to getting home. But hey, right now eyes are on Summit and Stewart's Creek.
We'll be back with a few final thoughts right after this. Join Blood Assurance at the Lakewood Golf and Country Club on Friday, September 13th for the 10th Annual Heroes Golf Tournament. All golfers will receive a golf shirt, a sleeve of golf balls, golf tees, cart rental, and an invitation to the annual luncheon. The cost to play is $150 per person or $500 per team, and proceeds benefit the Heroes Grant. For more information, contact Steve Cope at 931-212-4093. When severe weather strikes, stay informed about power outages with TUA's new online outage map. Visit our webpage at tub.net and click the View Outage Map icon to see the number of customers affected and where they are. Use the bottom icons to find out the cause of the outage and how long it might take to restore power. You can even zoom in to see if the outage is in your neighborhood. Call 348-1795 to report an outage.
Watch Tullahoma Wildcat football live on LightTube. The voices of Wildcat football, Scott Chastain and Ken Keller, can only be found on the LightTube Sports Network. With a new game every week, you can catch every moment live. If you cannot make it out to the stadium, tune in to LightTube Channel 23 and cheer on the Tullahoma Wildcats football team led by head coach Coy Sisk. Go Cats!
Before we leave you today, we thank our news team partner, the Tullahoma News. And if you'd like to be part of the team, call our news hotline to let us know about any story ideas or upcoming events. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram. Just search for TUA LightTube. You can watch this newscast and other original programming on our YouTube page. Same way. Look for TUA LightTube. That wraps it up for this Wednesday edition. As always, we thank you for watching. Have a great evening, and we'll see you again on Friday.